And as we admit the last few people that are joining, my name is Nicole Bostel. I'm the Director of Communications here at STEM School Highlands Ranch. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I appreciate you taking the time. It's a lot of information, but we hope that what we cover is helpful for everyone so that you know how to be as prepared as possible for the first day of school. For some of you, it'll be the first time. For others, you might be hearing this for the second or third time. Not much has changed with our Driveline. We just want to ensure that everybody knows how it works. That way we're as efficient as possible. So with that, give me just one moment. Let me go ahead and share my screen so that I can get us started. All right. Okay, so today, again, we're talking about Driveline and PikMyKid. If you have any questions, please put those in the chat box, and then I will do my best to answer those at the end of the presentation. I'm also going to be simultaneously admitting people into the presentation. So this is what we're going to cover today. Why do we have Driveline? We're going to also talk about bikers and walkers. And then we're going to talk about our West Driveline first, which is for our elementary school. We're going to talk about drop off and pickup, and then we're going to transition over to our East Driveline, which is talk about morning and afternoon pickup. And the reason why I'm starting with our West Driveline first is because this is going to cover any families who have students who in elementary school and in secondary, you will be using our West Driveline. So I want to make sure I say that again, that if you are a family that has a student or has multiple students that span kindergarten through 12th grade, you're going to pick up on our West Driveline side. So you're going to pick all your kids up in one space on the west side of campus using our West Driveline. If you just have a secondary student with no elementary school sibling, and you're not in a carpool that has an elementary school student, then you're going to pick up on our east side of our campus, which is our secondary Driveline. Okay. So why do we have a Driveline? Driveline is a key component of our TMP, our Transportation Management Plan, which we have to have in order to be a charter school here in Douglas County. We submit that to the school district. It's part of our contract also with the school district. We also have the county review it, and it's on file with the county. Where we're located is in what they call a business park in Highlands Ranch. So we are not located inside of a neighborhood, and we're not a neighborhood school. And so we have a TMP, which outlines how our families access our campus and how walkers access our campus so that we can be good neighbors to the surrounding businesses. And so what we need to ensure is that all of our families understand how our Driveline operates, as well as what the do's and the don'ts are, so we can continue to be good neighbors and operate as a charter school in this particular area. Okay. So again, what does it mean to be a good neighbor? As I kind of mentioned that on the previous slide, it means no parking in the surrounding businesses. So you will see a lot of parking lots around. It will be very tempting to park in those spaces because you're going to see a lot of empty parking spaces, but they are not ours. So please do not park in the surrounding businesses. There are signs that say you will get ticketed and you will get towed. That is at your own expense. And as you go through our STEM Express check-in process, you do acknowledge that you will not park in the surrounding businesses. So please, please, please do not do that because they do get upset. That includes the hotel across the street. That includes the big parking lot on the east side of our campus. That includes any business that's on the south side of our campus. So the legal places where you can park and cross to then access our campus, if you cannot park during school hours on our campus, is in the neighborhood across the street, but just ensure that you are not blocking any driveways or any garages or anything like that. You can legally park on those streets, okay? Cross at all crosswalks. So please do not cross where there is no crosswalk. And the reason why, there's two reasons why. One, it's not safe to cross where there's no crosswalk. And two, when there's no crosswalk that's indicated, you then are impeding traffic flow, which then reduces the efficiency of both of our Drivelines because they do operate in conjunction with one another, okay? please only make left-hand turns into our parking lots. Okay, this is really important, especially during our drive line hours, that you approach our campus from very specific directions so that you're not making a right-hand turn into the parking lot, because that does slow down the efficiency of our drive line. Okay, and then the last piece of the why being a good neighbor is please no parking or standing on any active roadways, and that includes Barron's Boulevard and Ridgeline. You will see some cars that do this. This is a very, very big no-no. Please do not add to the fray and stand on those streets, blocking traffic or creating a traffic hazard. Okay, and I'll explain that further as we get into our drive line. Before I jump into that, I do want to mention that we have we partner with a Way to Go school pool. It is a service that's run through the Denver Regional Council of Governments, and they have a secure site. There's a link there. The link was also included in the parent newsletters for the last 2 weeks. That's where you can sign up to host a carpool. It's also where you can sign up to find a carpool. And please do not share out this link. It's a secure link, and that is strictly set up for families here at STEM School Highlands Ranch. And since we do not background check any families that join this, and the service also does not background check, they want to ensure that this link stays secure and that there isn't anyone signing up to host a carpool that isn't a family at this particular school. Okay. So I'm not going to play this video, but it is available on our website, and this just explains what school pool is. It's super important that we have both groups, and that means we have families who want to host a carpool, and then we also have families who need a carpool. Okay, if we don't have groups from both of those, then it makes it very difficult for this service to work. Okay. Now we're going to talk about walkers and bike riders, okay, in the mornings. Please ensure if you have any of your students that are going to be walking to campus or biking to campus that they also use all of the approved crosswalks. And we have photos on our website. They're also in this presentation that outlines where those crosswalks are, where they can cross safely, okay? Do not, please do not pull over on the side of the road to let your student out, okay? That is incredibly unsafe. All of the streets around our campus or that butt up against our campus are active roadways. Okay, there is a pull off or a pull out section that is on Blue Point, which is on the northwest side of our campus. You can pull over. It's a designated space where you can drop your student off. They then cross the crosswalk and access our campus from the west side. So there's the only approved place where you can pull over and let your student out. I know it'll be incredibly tempting at the beginning of the school year because you're going to see a lot of cars everywhere and a lot of kids. There's going to be a lot of anxiety, but please do not pull over in any sort of active roadway and let your student out. It is incredibly unsafe, and it causes a traffic jam, makes our drive line very inefficient. Okay. So on the west side, this is for walkers and bike riders. You'll see these big X's. These are the areas where they cannot cross the streets. And hopefully you can see my cursor. The yellow will mark the appropriate places where walkers can walk and then also cross and then access our campus. The same thing on the east side, we have it indicated where the crosswalks are, and we have big X's indicating where they should not be crossing either Ridgeline or Barron's or Blue Point. Okay, it's really, really important. Even though it is a school zone, we do have cars, because it is a business park, that are not that are using the same roadway as you, that are not trying to access our campus, and they are not paying attention like you are. And so it's incredibly important that you drop off your student in a safe place if you are intending to drop them off. And so the safest place would be on this, if you can see my cursor, it's on Blue Point Road. It's on the northwest side of campus. There's a pullout lane right here. Then they would access the crosswalk that crosses over Barron's Boulevard, and then they can access our school from the northwest side. So in the afternoon, elementary walker pickup is located on the east side of the elementary school building by the playground. So when you access our school, if you're going to park in the neighborhood across the street, you're going to, that's located on the west side, you're going to cross at the crosswalk, and then you're going to walk around the school building to where the playground is. So to access that, you would walk around the south side of the elementary school building and walk up to where the playground is. You'll announce using the PikMyKid app. We do have 2 attendants that usually operate that back door, so they'll be able to help you the first week to get situated with your PikMyKid app and ensure that you're announcing correctly. Again, please do not park in the surrounding businesses. Let's be good neighbors. Once you announce your student in PikMyKid, the teachers inside the building and the driveline attendants will take care of the rest. You just wait outside and your student will be either brought down or your student will be released to you out of that back door as a walker. For secondary walkers, they will exit the east side of the secondary building starting at 2:55, and then they can leave campus and either meet you or walk home or walk to any other place where you have indicated that you want to pick them up. Just please make sure that you are not doing that in one of our surrounding businesses. There's a medical building that is on the southeast side. A lot of families like to use that parking lot. That business health building does not like that. So please do not do that. And again, please make sure that your students know to use all appropriate crosswalks. Okay, again, for our secondary bikers, we do have bike racks that are located on the east side of the campus by the secondary entrance. Those are the only bike racks that we have on campus. So if you have an elementary school student that's biking with their secondary student or biking on their own, they would park their bike over by the secondary school entrance, and then they would walk around to the elementary school entrance. Okay. All students must use a lock to secure their bike. We are not responsible for any bikes or any bike items that go missing on campus. Okay. Let's talk about our drive line. So we have 2 drive lines. We have our elementary, which is our west drive line. And then as I mentioned at the very start, but if you're just joining us, I'm going to say it again. If you are a family that has students both in our elementary school and in our secondary school, you are going to use our west drive line. Okay. If you are a family that just has students in our secondary schools, that would be grades 6 through 12 or PTEC, and they are not driving themselves, then you would utilize our east drive line, which is our secondary school drive line. Okay. And you would utilize them for morning and afternoon. You'd follow the same process. Okay. If you are operating a carpool where you have your students are secondary, but you are operating a carpool that includes an elementary school student, you would pick up on the elementary school side, which is the west side. Okay. No elementary school student is allowed to be dismissed on the east side of campus with secondary students. Okay. So we're going to continue with our west drive line. The drive line opens up at 7:10 and it closes at 7:45. If you are arriving with your elementary school student, whether they're in your carpool and you have secondary students, any type of car that arrives with an elementary school student, if it's 7:45 or later, you will need to park and sign them in at the front desk. At 7:45 and later, they are tardy. So please plan to arrive early. We've bumped up this time to 7:10. The driveline attendant, so that we can accommodate families who want to arrive early. Driveline attendants will come out and open up the car doors. If you arrive at 7, just line up in the parking lot in the 2 lanes that are in front of the elementary school. And I'll indicate that here. It's this green and yellow lanes that are in front of the elementary school. That is our loading and our unloading zone. You'll line up and you'll wait in your car. Please do not get out. Please do not drop off your student and drive away. You're going to wait until the driveline attendants come out. And your students will exit out of the car, and then they will head over to their class stones, which is in front of the elementary school building in the wood chip area. Okay. As I mentioned at the very beginning, a part of our rules of being a good neighbor, please do not make a right-hand turn into our parking lots because it does slow down the efficiency of our drive line. Now, the only time that you could potentially see somebody making a right-hand turn into the parking lot would be a staff member who is trying to access the staff parking. Okay. In that event, they would have a staff parking pass, and we ask that you please they would be hanging from their window. We'd ask that you please kindly let them in. That way they can park and get inside the school building to start their day. We do ask for them to arrive before driveline opens at 7:10. But you never know, sometimes people are running late. And so we do ask that you please let the staff members make a sorry, make that turn into the parking lot, okay? And I'm sorry if I had my directions wrong. Everybody's going to make a right into the parking lot, and we don't want families making a left into the parking lot, is what I should have said. My apologies if I got that direction wrong. So we want everybody on the elementary side to approach the campus from the south on Barron's Boulevard. So if you are on the north side of our campus and you are trying to approach the west drive line, you will want to orient yourself so that you are then approaching the school from the south. Okay, so you're going to come north on Barron's Boulevard. You're going to make a right-hand turn into the parking lot, and you are going to get in one of 3 lanes. We need the drive line to be as efficient as possible. So that means that we need to stack as many cars into the parking lot as we can. So you'll enter into one of the 3 lanes. The 2 outer lanes, as you can see on the map here at the very bottom of the diagram, the yellow and the kind of reddish orange lane, they will merge right at this curve right here. And so please take turns, please be kind, allow those cars to merge, that lane to merge into one. That way 2 lanes come around the parking lot. And there'll be a driveline attendant that will hold cars because this unloading zone will be actively unloading at the time. The driveline attendant will then wave the cars forward once that first set of cars has been unloaded and is exiting the parking lot. Okay, you'll see it's pretty efficient. We just need everybody to kind of work in the same direction. Okay, if you're dropping off a secondary student with your elementary school student, or if they are part of your carpool, you will their secondary student will go through the athletics entrance on the west side of the school. They do not need to walk all the way around. They can access their the school building through the west athletic entrance. They will be held in kind of like the gym and the secondary commons area until 7:30, when the rest of the school building will open and they'll be allowed to head to their class. Okay, and that's for secondary students. Elementary school students will wait at their class stone. Teachers will come out at 7:30 and take them inside the school building. Okay, so tips for the drive line: proceed as far forward as you can so that you can stack as many cars in the parking lot as possible. That's so that we are not blocking traffic on Barron's Boulevard. So we need the drive line the parking lot to hold as many cars as possible. Okay, please stay in your lane. Please don't try to change lanes or pass lanes. We do have accidents that happen inside the parking lot, so it's super important that we all just stay in the lane that you pick, unless a driveline attendant tells you otherwise, and they might have to move you to another lane in order to fit as many cars into the parking lot. They're not trying to be mean, but please follow their instructions. Please be kind. They're just trying to move as many cars in the parking lot and try and get students into the school building so that they're not marked tardy. Okay. As you exit the parking lot, on the west side, you can only make a right or a left-hand turn. Some people do want to cut across Barron's Boulevard. Please do not do that. It is a right or a left turn only out of the parking lot. Okay. These are our, we're going to talk about our afternoon drive line now. These are our pickup times. If you have a student in kindergarten or first grade, you will get a green placard. That's if you have a student in first grade or kindergarten only, you'll get a green placard. You'll be allowed to enter the parking lot starting at 2:15. And your pickup window is from 2:20 to 2:30. Okay. If you do not have a student in any other grade, and you just have students in kindergarten and first grade, you do need to pick up during that window. Please do not wait all the way until the end to come pick up your student, because that clogs up the next 2 phases of our drive line. Okay, so your window is from 2:20 to 2:30. You'll pull into the parking lot. You'll open up your PikMyKid app. You'll access campus the same way you did as you did in the morning, making a right-hand turn in the parking lot, no left-hand turn. Okay, and as soon as you come to a complete stop, you'll open up your PikMyKid app. You'll announce that you're here. We'll take care of the rest. Please do not get out of your car. Okay, the second window is our orange window. That is for families who have a 2nd through 5th grader, as well as a kindergarten and first grade. Okay, if you have a If you are also picking up a secondary student, you will not enter the parking lot until 2:55, so please don't come early. We do have somebody who's at the entrance to Driveline. You're going to display your placards. If you are displaying a placard that is the wrong color, they will ask for you to circle the block. So please don't try to enter into the Driveline early, because that does slow us down. You are taking away a parking space from somebody who really does need to be in that time slot. Now, the orange window does not, while you're allowed into the parking lot starting at 2:30, your pickup time does not start until 2:35. Okay. And so we will run our orange time window all the way up until 2:55, but we strongly encourage that families arrive between 2:30 and 2:40 to access that Driveline. Okay. Now, our yellow window is for families who have students in elementary and secondary. You're going to enter in the Driveline starting at 2:55. And your pickup window goes until 3:10. We mark 3 o'clock because this window generally goes fairly quickly once our Driveline is up and running and very efficient. Okay. So again, if you have a student that is in kindergarten and first grade only, please come during your pickup window. Please do not come later in that Driveline, because then you are clogging up that time frame for these other families that are trying to pick up their students at their appropriate time. So in the afternoon, every car needs a placard for dismissal. We are pre-printing them. Placard print pickup is happening right now all this week at our secondary front office. You can come anytime between 7:30 and 2 o'clock to have your placards printed for you. You do need to make sure that you are displaying them in your window as you approach the West Driveline. Okay. If you need after this week, if you need a placard, you will email that support@stemk12.org and put a request in to have a placard printed. Okay. They must be displayed throughout the entire dismissal process. Okay. So even though we have Driveline attendants out there, until you exit the parking lot, leave that placard in your window, because we do multiple checks to ensure that you not only have the correct students, but that you have your students. Okay. And that we're not trying to dismiss the whole load of cars and you're still missing one of your students. Okay. The last piece here is you must be using the PikMyKid dismissal app. We're going to touch on that a little bit later. So please make sure that the first thing that you want to do is you want to make sure that you have that PikMyKid app downloaded on your phone. And this is K through 12. We want to make sure that everybody has the app installed, but in particular, our K through 5 families, we want to ensure that you have that you see your students, because we actually do use this for the dismissal feature on the elementary side. Okay, we want to make sure that we just reiterate there's no left turn into Driveline from Barron's Boulevard. You do need to approach, just like in the morning, you're going to make a right-hand turn into the parking lot. If you have somebody else that's coming to pick up your students, a family member, grandparent, friend, anything like that, please ensure that they know that there is no left-hand turn into the parking lot. It is only a right-hand turn. And we will not allow the car to make that left-hand turn into the parking lot. Okay. Please don't try to enter into the Driveline before your time. I touched on the reason why for that. And again, just like how we did in the morning, when you enter in the Driveline, you're going to form 3 lanes. Okay. And that outer lane is going to merge into the middle lane as they start to round the corner. Okay. This just talks again of some of the things I've already touched on. Please obey all of the Driveline attendants instructions. They might have you move into another lane. They might push you into that 3rd lane that's on the side. We're really not trying to be inconvenient, but if we ask you for you to do that particular day, even though you need to make a left out of the parking lot on the exit, please make sure that you just follow what their instructions are. They're trying to stack as many cars into the parking lot as possible, so that we're being good neighbors and not slowing down traffic on Barron's Boulevard. So please be kind to them and follow their instructions. Okay. The loading area, as I mentioned before, and I just want to reiterate this, is in front of the elementary school building. Okay. Please, if you are not in front of the elementary school building, please do not, and you're farther back in the Driveline, please do not text or call your student to say, hey, come over to the car and load. Okay. Because we do not have enough attendance at that section of the drive line to ensure that your student is loading safely in that particular area, okay? That is also where staff members back out, or we have visitors that come. They're not anticipating that your student is in that part of the parking lot. So loading and unloading only happens in front of the elementary school building, okay? And again, we want to reiterate that there are, when you exit the drive line, you are making either a right or a left, not going across Barron's. Now, I want to touch briefly on PikMyKid, okay? You will use this on the elementary side to make sure that you're either indicating that they are getting picked up either by a car or as a walker. Our enrichment program will, if your student is enrolled in an after-school enrichment program, they will move your student or delegate them or change their pickup mode for that particular day to go into after-school enrichment. So you don't need to worry about changing it if they are staying for a club. And this is for K through 5, okay? So you'll open up PikMyKid, you'll ensure that you see your student. If you don't, on this PikMyKid dismissal app page that's linked right here, you'll find a help form where you'll fill that out, and then we'll reach out to you to figure out how we can help you see your student in PikMyKid, okay? The best thing to do once you get in to your PikMyKid account, log out and log back in. Sometimes that helps to then force the system to refresh, and you might see your student before you even reach out to us, okay? If you have somebody else that's coming to pick up your student, you'll do what's called a delegation. You need to ensure that they have PikMyKid installed on their phone, and that you have then delegated your student to be picked up by that person, okay? This process is it's a safety feature for us, so it's super important that everybody who comes to pick up a student is using PikMyKid. We will not release a student to a person who is either not displaying a placard or is not using PikMyKid. We will have to ask them to pull over, which will be an inconvenience to them. And then we will have them wait while the front office makes a phone call to ensure that this person is allowed to pick up your student, okay? So please don't just send, grandma and grandpa to come pick up your student and they're not prepared to either use PikMyKid and or have the placard, okay? Placard is super important. PikMyKid is important, okay? What slows down Driveline in the afternoon? This is super important because there are a number of factors: not paying attention, not using the app, not having the delegation, pickup mode, or not announcing. We do have a Driveline attendant that comes through with an iPad and that puts all the cars in order. That way the teachers and the staff inside the building know when to send your student down and also where you are in the Driveline so that they can put students in order and tell them where to go, okay? So not having your placard displayed shows us down. Coming in at the wrong time slows it down. A student's not being ready to go. So if you could speak to your students to ensure that they have all of their belongings and that they are parked and ready to go, the teachers will do their best. But it's also helpful when the parents mention something to their students to prep them. Hey, at the end of the day, just make sure you have all of your stuff with you, make sure you've gone to the bathroom, right? And make sure you're not chit-chatting because we really need Driveline to be as efficient as possible. We need volunteers to help us get students to cars, especially in that K through 1 time slot, because those younger ages are a little bit slower and we need a little bit more help. So if you want to help with Driveline, we strongly encourage you to sign up for that. Other things internally could be a technology, or our Wi-Fi is not working, our iPads go down and we have to resort to plan B. And also when our staff is not, when we have new staff that onboards and they are not entirely familiar with how our system works. And then the last piece that slows us down is weather. We will share information about lightning dismissal or inclement weather dismissal in newsletters that are coming up. I just won't touch on it in this presentation. So West Driveline don'ts, I want to make sure that I am sharing this out. Please, if you're going to park in the neighborhood across the street, please do not block driveways or garages. So here's a photo of a car that was doing the absolute wrong thing. That's why there's a big X right there. You can park in the neighborhood. They are, as long as you're parking legally on the street, okay? Please cross at all the crosswalks and the intersections. No stopping on Barron's Boulevard to drop off or pick up your student. Don't be on your phone, and please don't speed. Okay. West Driveline dues. Again, you've heard me say this in this presentation, but we just want to make sure that we're saying it multiple times. Please make sure that your PikMyKid app is working. Follow all instructions from our SRO, security manager, and our Driveline attendants. Display your placard. Please ask any questions in advance of entering Driveline. We do not have enough time to help troubleshoot the app, but we are more than welcome, more than happy to help you either over the phone or via email. That's why we're trying to do this as early as possible to get families situated as quickly as possible. All right, here's a tutorial. I'm not going to play this right now, but it's just to show you that it's going to be in this presentation. It's also on our website on the Driveline page, and I believe we've also added it to our back to school hub. So please make sure that you watched this one. It's going to reiterate everything that I just said, but it has moving visuals to kind of give you paint the whole picture of what we're talking about. Okay. Now we're going to talk about our East Driveline, and not to worry, I will get to all your questions that are in the chat box. Our East Driveline opens at 7:15, so cars can start to pull in to our secondary parking lot. You will approach our secondary Driveline from the north. So if you are on the south and you are trying to access our secondary Driveline, you're going to need to reorient yourself so that you're approaching campus from the north, because you cannot make a left-hand turn into the parking lot. Okay. I know it says turn right there, but that's for like outside of Driveline hours. You can make a left, but that's supposed to be a turn right, indicating that when you're approaching from the north that you're going to make a right into the parking lot. Okay. Just want to make sure that that's clear, because it can be a little bit confusing on that graphic. Okay. So again, no left turn in this Driveline either. The only ones that can make a left-hand turn are staff that are trying to access the parking lot. But again, we do ask for them to arrive early so that they can get their parking. Okay. So once you enter into our Driveline, here's a better map that shows you can make a right-hand turn. You can pick the left lane or the center lane. The right lane is going to be for our carpool lane. That's the green lane that's indicated on this map, or high school student drivers. Okay, they're going to use that green lane so that they can access the carpool lane as well as the student parking spaces. The two yellow lanes, which is the left and the middle lane, those are for our normal secondary Driveline, and you'll see where they pull in, where they're kind of facing the secondary school. And that area, when they're facing the school, is our load and unloading zone. Okay. If you are in the lanes that are facing away from our school, that is your holding area. You will not release or pick up any students in that particular area. Again, we don't have any Driveline attendants that are able to monitor that section. And so we want to ensure that students are only loading and unloading in the appropriate spaces where we have the attendants. Okay. When you pull into the drop-off areas, as I've indicated on that particular map, you're going to wait until all vehicles come to a stop, and then you're going to exit out at the appropriate side. If you are in the left lane, you're going to have your students exit on the left side of the car. If you're in the right lane, you're going to have your students exit on the right side of the car, so that there's no students in the center of Driveline. Okay, they're going to then walk to the forward towards the school where the Driveline attendant is, and then they can cross and use the appropriate crosswalk to access the school building. Okay. As I indicated there, once everybody's unloaded, the Driveline attendants will then direct all the cars to exit towards the right. There's going to be two lanes that will then merge into one, where you'll then exit the parking lot out of one lane, making a right onto Ridgeline. There's no left turn out of the parking lot. Okay. At 7:45, once the Driveline attendant, who is at the front of the school building, has communicated with the West Driveline that it is safe to do so, they will ask the left lane that is in front of the school building to make a left and snake around the school building. This is going to help for efficiency purposes. Since the majority of our families drop off between about 7:40 and 7:50. And so what we do is we alleviate some of that congestion in our secondary parking lot by having cars exit to the left, okay? And that means that you are going to come around where the elementary school playground is, and through the elementary school parking lot, you're going to snake around the elementary school building and then exit out of the elementary school parking lot, just like how our morning west drive line does. So you'll either make a right or a left out of that parking lot, okay? We will have staff there to assist on the first, during that first week of school to help families orient themselves in the morning if it's 7:45 or later. Okay. Just reiterating that high school drivers and carpool families will utilize that green lane. We've sent out information to families about how to sign up for our secondary carpool. Please make sure that you are that you meet the criteria for that carpool before you sign up. You'll get a special sticker for your placard and the time frame that you sign up for that indicates that you're allowed to be in that lane and utilize that carpool service that's over on that side, okay? The middle school crosswalk between the drive line will have a parking attendant there that will direct students across the crosswalk to the secondary school entrance. And that is this crosswalk right here. There's also a crosswalk that goes through Driveline. So as you enter in our parking lot, just make sure that you're always paying attention to where students are. These are our East Driveline pickup times. We have two groups. We have a pink placard time that's from 2:55 to 3:05. We do ask that if you are in that pink grouping that you please do not try and get into the parking lot super early. You can enter the parking lot starting at 2:40, but we do have classes out there on the play field, and we do have staff and students that need to exit the parking lot. So if we have cars that are blocking, that are already stacking before 2:40 in the parking lot, it does block access. And in the event that we have any sort of an emergency where first responders need to access the building, we want to ensure that the parking lot is not stacked to where they cannot access the school building. So please do not try to start stacking before 2:40. The blue placard time is from 3:05 to 3:15. Okay, and we will have driveline attendants that are out there helping to monitor these timeframes and to also stack cars. We want to ensure that not everybody is showing up at the same time. That's why we have two groupings, so that we don't back up onto Ridgeline. Okay. Let's see. The afternoon drive line, you'll follow the same process as in the morning. You'll circulate around the campus coming from the north. Please don't try to make a left into the parking lot. The same kind of lane rules apply. The outer lane is for carpool. The two yellow lanes, which is the left and the center lane, that's for the normal drive line. Okay, we'll try and stack cars as close together as possible because in the afternoon we need to fit as many cars in. It does take a little bit longer in the afternoon. You'll notice morning flows very nicely because you're just dropping off and going. And in the afternoon, it does take some coordination between you and your students so that you guys find each other. So while we're not using PikMyKid for dismissal on the secondary side, we do want all families to download PikMyKid because we are using it as an emergency notification system. In particular, when we have lightning delays or inclement weather and we need to communicate something very quickly that relates to the specific side where families could be in the afternoon for Driveline. Okay, so ensure if you're a secondary family only, ensure that you have that PikMyKid app also installed on your phone. Okay. This just walks you through a little bit more of afternoon Driveline. So you'll want to make sure that you're following the attendance instructions. To help speed up the process, it's helpful if you coordinate with your student to then text them and say, hey, I'm in the loading area, come meet me, or hey, I'm in the waiting area, which is kind of the snake area before you enter the loading section, to let them know to pay attention. Secondary students do have a tendency to get outside and not pay attention because they're with their friends and they're having a good time. And so we want to make sure that the afternoon drive line stays efficient. So please make sure you're communicating with your student where you are. Okay. Let's see. Once all the cars are loaded, the driveline attendants will direct the cars on where to go in the afternoon. All the cars are going to make a right out of the parking lot. They're going to merge into one lane and a right out of the parking lot. So the same thing as in the morning. No left turn out of the parking lot on a Ridgeline. Okay, bikers and walkers will be released at the same time as the rest of the students, and that is at 2:55. High school drivers will be over by where our carpool families are. So we do ask for you to please pay attention and allow for them to merge into the drive line as they are trying to exit the parking lot also. So East Drive line don'ts, please do not park in the businesses. It's going to be very tempting, especially on the east side, because there are some large parking lots over there that look pretty empty, but please do not park there because we get a lot of complaints, especially at the beginning of the school year and anytime we come back from breaks, that families want to be as fast as possible and say, hey, just meet me across the street. I don't want to be in the drive line, but that's a big, big no-no, okay? No stopping on Ridgeline to pick up your student. Please do not be on your phone unless you come to a complete stop and you're texting your student. And then please don't speed. It's 5 miles an hour once you're in our parking lot, and it is the school zone around our entire campus. Okay. Drive line dues. Please make sure to follow any instructions from our SRO who could potentially be out there helping with drive line, our security manager, and our drive line attendants. Please make sure to display your placard. Please make sure that you ask any questions before you enter drive line. In particular, on the east side, we do not have enough volunteers to help us. And so it is very important that if you do have any questions that you ask them before you enter drive lane, because we definitely don't have anybody available to help you on that side in the afternoon. Okay, just want to reiterate about our east drive line. These are just some reminders. There's the link for the secondary drive line placard sign up that's also available in the newsletter and on the back to school hub. There's a reminder of our pickup times. If you need a placard mid-year, you're going to email support@stemk12.org. The placard printing and pickup is happening all this week from 7:30 to 2. Please stop by our secondary front office to pick those up. They must be displayed through the entire afternoon dismissal process. So the same thing as on the west side, just always make sure you have your placard displayed in your window. Okay, this is a tutorial video that we put together for you. I'm not going to play it now, but it's available for you to watch. That way you see the visual of everything that I just explained. Okay. As I mentioned, these are the pickup dates and times, what to expect. We're printing them on site for you. So every year you get a new placard because your student's grade changes and your color might change. So we want you to also make sure that you have the ability to ask any questions about PikMyKid. So you can do that when you come this week. You can also learn more about the way to go school pool. So if you need help accessing that secure link, the front office can help you with that. And those are our times, 7:30 to 2:30. Okay, now I'm going to stop sharing my screen and we are going to go to some of the questions that were in the chat box. I'm going to go through them. And I just want to make sure, I know I might have confused some people in the very beginning. You're only going to make right-hand turns into the parking lot. You're never going to make a left-hand turn in the parking lot. So just think right, left, wrong. Okay. Let's see, the next question. Is there a waiting zone for afternoon pickup to accommodate cars that arrive before their pickup windows? Yes, you can wait over in the neighborhood that's across the street on the west side of the school. Again, as long as you are not blocking any driveways or garages, that is the safest place and that is the most legal place for you to wait. There is also a pullout that's on Blue Point, which is on the northwest side of the school, where you can wait to pick up your student. The one thing that we do ask about that pullout is if it is full, please do not stack up behind and then block traffic on that Sergeant Falkwell Drive. Because then it becomes a hazard and then that street backs up. And so that was a new thing that was put into place by the county at the start of last school year. We were incredibly grateful for that, but we also don't want to become a nuisance on that street because families are backing up traffic. So if that pullout is full, and I believe it can fit about 20 cars roughly, depending on the size, 15 to 20, please don't stack up behind it. You're going to have to circle the block. Okay. If we miss requesting a placard, do we need to pre-request or can we just stop in and have it printed? you can stop in and have it printed. You don't need to request any placards this week. After this week, you will need to request a placard because that way the front office can print them and then give them to your student to bring them home. Okay. If you have two parents picking up, will we get two placards? Yes. So please indicate that when you go to pick up your placards, indicate, hey, I need to pick, like sometimes I pick up, sometimes my husband picks up, or sometimes stepmom picks up, or stepdad, or grandma, grandpa. You can request as many placards as you need for as many cars as you need. We just want to ensure that everybody has a placard for whatever they need. Okay. And we want to make sure that, pass this information along, pass the links on. If there's anyone other than you who's listening right now, that is coming to pick up your student, that they know how Driveline works. Okay. Can we have more than one placard print? Yes, I think I already answered that one. If kids from elementary and secondary walk back home, then what is the time window that they need to be picked up? So I think if I'm understanding the way this question is if you are saying that you want your secondary student to pick up your elementary school student to walk off campus, then it would be at 2:55, your secondary student would exit the west side of campus, pick up their elementary school student from their class stone, and then they can walk off campus. Okay. If you have an elementary school student only and you want them to walk off campus, there is a walker form. You can find that link on our PikMyKid page. You're going to print off that walker authorization form and make sure the front office has that. And that you only need that form if they are an elementary school student walking off by themselves. Okay. If you have a secondary student that's picking them up, they would do that at 2:55 from their class stone, and then they can walk off campus together. So I hope that answered that question. Let's see. So you in PikMyKid, and this question is about, can delegates be permanent? They can be, you just need to set that up in advance. So what you can do is you can delegate somebody and you can say this repeats until I tell it to stop. So the app, there are tutorials on our site about how to use the app. You can also go straight to the PikMyKid website. You can reach out to them directly and they can walk you through it on the phone also. But in PikMyKid, when you set up the delegation, you can set for how long you want that to be. You can also say, I only want it to be Monday and Tuesday every single week, or Monday and Tuesday every other week. So you do have that flexibility inside the app. Just please make sure that if that person who is delegated to pick them up, that they are actually have the app and can announce. So we that way we know that we can safely dismiss this student to that person. Let's see, I think I addressed this about placards. They're secondary front office. So that's located on the west side of campus. That's where you're going to pick up placards this week. So for school starts at 7:30, all teachers will grab students from the class stone and walk them inside. Okay. Kindergarten does go in first just because we want to ensure that the students have some more time because they are littler, they get distracted easily, they need sometimes a little bit more time with their backpacks and all that kind of stuff. So the elementary, the kindergarten teachers do start bringing students in starting at 7:25, but don't worry, your student will not be marked tardy until 7:45. Okay. At 7:45, if you're pulling into the parking lot, we will ask for you to pull into a parking space and walk your student in to sign them in. Okay. Do we use PikMyKid app for high school as well as for announcing? So on the secondary side, you will not use, so if you're just using the East Driveline to pick up a 6th through 12th grader only, you will not use PikMyKid right now as the dismissal app, okay? We don't have it set up on that side, and the way we currently run our Driveline on that side, we don't have an efficient way to use that. So we have not implemented it as the dismissal app for the East Driveline, which is for secondary students. But we do ask that you have that app installed on your phone. That way we can send you an emergency notification in the event that something's happening with weather and we need to either ask you to exit the parking lot, or, hey, it's going to be delayed, or, hey, come inside and sign your student out. Anything like that would be sent through that app as well. Okay. Um, the designated parking area for secondary school walkers, again, that's going to be on the west side of campus in the neighborhood. That is the only place where you can park. Okay. And again, make sure that you're parking legally in that neighborhood. You can park in that pullout area and your secondary and wait, and your secondary student can walk over to you using the crosswalks. So that's an option also. Any special requirements for secondary walkers to leave campus after school? No. Your student at 2:55, they can exit campus and walk off. Okay. If we are carpooling students for secondary and high school for pickup and drop off, where are we supposed to take them and who is supposed to walk to whom? So if you just have secondary students and you are doing a carpool, you would follow those carpool instructions on the map. You would take the carpool lane, ensure that you have a carpool placard with this appropriate sticker on it. You would utilize that carpool lane, and that's where you pick up and drop off all of your students in your carpool. Okay. If you are indicating in that question that you are picking up elementary and secondary, you would pick up on the west side of campus in elementary, in the elementary drive line, and you would enter in that parking lot at 2:55, which you would need a yellow placard for. Okay. The last question, what happens with pickup from enrichment? So on the elementary school side with enrichment, when the clubs end, you'll want to come up to the door for elementary school, and we will have either our enrichment coordinator or the after-school program assistant that will help with ensuring that your student goes to the appropriate parent or pickup person. And on the secondary side, your student will be dismissed to the secondary front office, and they can wait outside for you to come pick them up. Okay, but the enrichment club coach, mentor, coordinator, whoever's running that club needs to clearly communicate when that club is over, and that is when you come pick up your student. Please do not leave your student if the club gets out at 3:30 or 3:45. Please do not leave your student there until 4 or 4:30. Okay, because then they are completely unattended, and we have no responsibility over what happens to them at that particular point. So if the club gets out at 3:45, either they're carpooling with somebody home, or you're coming to pick them up, or you've indicated an appropriate space for them to go to that is not on campus. Okay. And I'm going to just now hop to, so there's 3 more questions in the chat box, but I do want to also, if you have a question that you want to ask live, you can do so also. Okay. So is there anybody that has a question that I haven't covered yet? Okay. There is a question in here. Do carpool have to be organized in the carpool site, or if we've organized offline, can we still get a carpool placard? You can still get a carpool placard if you didn't use the Way to Go school pool. You do need to fill out the carpool Google form that is located on our website. It's also on the Back to School Hub. It was also, I believe, included in the newsletter. You need to ensure that you fill out that form because there's very specific requirements to be a carpool. So it needs to be, I believe it's like 3 separate households in order to qualify for a carpool. If you yourself have 5 in your car and they're all yours, then it doesn't qualify for a carpool. So otherwise everybody would have a carpool. Because we have a lot of students from a lot of families. So I hope that makes sense. So ensure that you fill out that Google form. That way the front office then verifies that you meet the requirements for the carpool lane. And then that way you get that special sticker. Okay. So no, we still want you to have Pick My Kid if you have a 6th through 12th grader. So every family K through 12, we want you to ensure that you have Pick My Kid installed on your phone and that you see your student and that it works. Okay. The caveat is that we are not using the dismissal feature of Pick My Kid for 6 through 12 right now. We are using it K through 12 for emergency notifications. And that's why we're asking you to have Pick My Kid installed on your phone and that you see your student. Okay. Let's see, if a secondary student is walking, what is the latest time they can stay in the student waiting area before walking for pickup outside of Driveline? So if your student is not in an enrichment club at 2:55, they exit campus. Okay. Otherwise, once Driveline is over, the Driveline attendants will sweep all of the students that are still waiting there, and they will go into after school care, and then you will be charged for after school care. Okay. So they either need to have a place to go, whether they're walking off campus and you're meeting them in a designated space. They have a carpool going home. They are in an enrichment club, or they are in our secondary after school care. Okay. So please make sure that you are aware of, what's happening with your kiddo. Okay. Where's the link to get a placard? You'll find that on the website in the Back to School Hub. Where is the parking lot on the secondary side where students are allowed to exit and begin walking toward the crosswalk during drop off? I'm not sure if I 100% know the answer to how that's particularly phrased, but if you're talking about the pullout area, the best thing that I would suggest is that your student exits the school building on the west side through the athletics entrance, and then it's a quick, easy walk to the crosswalk that then gets you to that pullout area off of Blue Point. Okay. They can also exit the secondary east entrance and then walk around the school building on the north side to access that pullout area. But I'm hoping that that was what you were asking for with that particular question. If someone else is picking up instead of us, do they need a placard or something else? So as I indicated before, you need to have a placard and you need to be using PikMyKid for K through 5. If you are picking up a 6th through 12th grade only, you will need a placard. You do need to have PikMyKid installed for any emergency notification purposes. Okay. If two families are carpooling together, should they be entering through the carpool lane or the regular lane? On the secondary side, if two families are carpooling together, I believe in order to qualify for the carpool lane, it needs to be a carpool with students from 3 separate households, but you'll need to check out what the requirements are on that form because they might have updated it. So check out that carpool placard sign up form because it'll indicate on there, and then you'll have to fill in the information for the households. Okay. So that gets me through all the questions that are in the chat box. We have about 2 more minutes before we're at the end of our hour allotted time. I'm happy to stay on and answer any other questions. Feel free to unmute yourself and ask them live. You can also continue to put them in the chat box.
Hi, yes, I actually had a question about where in the parking lot are they allowed to begin exiting the car?
Oh,
So
I'm sorry. Okay, so are you talking about on the secondary side?
Yes, on the secondary side. So
Okay.
once you pull into the parking lot, are they allowed to, once you start stopping, are they allowed to exit, or do you have to get to a particular spot in the parking lot?
Now I understand your question. Apologies. Sometimes it's kind of hard.
Oh,
So there's a lot of information, so you're kind of trying to figure out where in my presentation I was talking about that. So on the secondary side, it would be when you're in the lane, the 2 lanes that are then where your car is facing the school. So you would be facing west with the front of your car. If you are either facing north with your car or facing east with your car, your student stays in the car with you. So I hope that that kind of, or it's easier on the elementary side to explain it because you're like, if you're in front of the school, that's where you unload. But on the secondary side,
that totally makes sense. So it's just that parking lot basically that
yes,
so as soon you have to make that turn into facing the school
exactly.
and they're allowed to start getting out. That way you have cars on both sides, right?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
And we
All right.
can fit, I believe we can fit in both lanes about 30 cars. So it's a load and an unload of about 30 cars at a time in those 2 lanes. And then in the carpool lane, I believe we can get about 10 cars in there. Again, it all depends on the size of the car and how close people stack together.
Okay, got it. And then there's 2 crosswalks, right? Or because how do you then pull out? Because you pull to the right? Both the cars pull out.
Yes. So
Right.
the students, when they exit, so depending on the lane that they're in, if they're in the right lane, they'll get out on the right, they'll walk, or left lane, they'll get out in the left, and then they'll walk forward. And then there's a drive line attendant up at the front that will allow the students to cross in front of all those cars. And then
Okay.
there's a crosswalk in the parking lot that then allows them to get in front of the school, and then they enter in the school that way. So we have, I believe, 4 to 5 drive line attendants on the east side that help with Driveline in the morning that have very specific roles. We also need volunteers. So if you have time, you can help in the afternoon or in the morning. Greatly appreciate it. It's about a 45-minute commitment. Sometimes only 30 minutes, depending on when you get there, but they definitely need Driveline support to just help ensure that students are crossing where they need to cross and cars are going where they need to go.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Okay, well, I don't see any other in the box. That's all I have to share. You can submit any questions to info@stemk12.org. I know it was a lot, but I appreciate everybody for their time and attention. And this recording will be available on the website and in the newsletter later this week. Thank you, everybody.